transportation 80 years from now?
In 8 years. Oh, in 80 years. Well.
Mobility 2088.
それはね、2088年ですか?
Yeah, I've been thinking about 80 years.
Wow.
That's a good question.
I can speculate, I guess.
It's a great question. You asking me?
In 80 years, people will go from point A to point B in probably a number of methods. I tend to privilege one specific method, which would be the alpha position of the foot. Walking is certainly great for the environment, certainly great for your health. It's certainly fantastic to discover social spaces. It's a great way to mix. The foot is almost perfect.
It's going to take him 80 years to get somewhere? That's pretty long. That's a long walk.
When you say 80 years, I think it's a chance to really think big.
In 80 years, of course, that's easy. A flying car. They're going to be everywhere.
You know, we might all have individual spacecraft that are automatically guided through like Google Maps or something.
Jetpacks would be nice. I don't know. Personal helicopters. I don't want a jetpack. Imagine taking all the idiots on the road today and putting them up in the air, jetting around. I mean, the collisions would be incredible.
People talk about teleportation. That's looking like a possibility.
Magnetic levitation is another one.
What if we could unlock gravity?
Definitely. Well, that's going to happen way before that. I think that's within a few weeks. I would say that's going to happen fast, and people being invisible.
I am amazed at the progress that gets made in 10 or 20 years. And so when I think of 80 years, I think, gosh, all kinds of things can be possible.
私事ですけども、実は、この夏に、孫がグランドサンが生まれまして、で、本当にまだちっちゃな命ですけども、10年後、20年後、我々と同じような青空が、この子は見れるんだろうかってやっぱり思います。
I think the internal combustion engine was a bad idea from the outset. It's inefficient and it's dirty, it's noisy, it pollutes.
We certainly have plenty of people in America right now who definitely don't want to give up gasoline until the last drop. That's simply foolish because we are stealing from our children.
The environmental issues that we've created are entirely our own. They affect essentially us. Nature will still be here when we're gone.
We have only two choices. We either learn how to adapt with the planet, or we have to get off.
John F. Kennedy had a great quote. If man created problems, man can solve them.
Well, we are in a pickle. If you're going to generate large quantities of electric power, how do you do that?
Wind, the ocean, the sun.
You know, the sun produces 800 million gigawatts constantly. But here on the ground, sunlight isn't always available. We have clouds, we have nighttime. In space, you can build very large satellites, a mile across or more, which will generate hundreds of thousands of megawatts. The fuel that we'll use really is this stuff, water. Inside water is hydrogen. Hydrogen makes an excellent fuel. It burns cleanly, and when you burn it, the waste product is more water.
The real changes for our society and transportation will not lie just in the fact that we have different fuel systems or different energy sources. How do we use those energy sources? That's really what's going to change our way of living.
In the last 50 years, we have organized ourselves to make it so that we can't live without cars.
If I was an alien race peering down at the planet Earth, staring at all of these shiny metal boxes, I would think their primary function would be to stay in one place, to be parked. For the last 100 years, cities have been designed around cars. I think now it's time we make cars designed for the city. You want to do something that is leapfrogging previous technologies. For instance, if you think of the cell phone, It's a fantastic device. And when you measure it against the landline, it's impossible to think, why would I use anything else but a cell phone? So the future car for a city, it's got to do the same thing that a cell phone has done with landlines. So we want this kind of social mobility device that's kind of a Facebook on wheels.
The biggest change would be almost like you take your house with you, or you're kind of seamless when you leave. So you're in your house and all of a sudden you're in your car and you don't even notice that you've moved, but you're moving.
When you can get in a car and say, take me to destination 7, that's going to be a new form of transportation. Like a slot car, hook into an electrical current and use that as your motive force.
Control-free vehicles where basically there's no such thing as a driver, there's just passengers.
In 80 years, I don't know that steel will be what we'll use anymore.
Glass technology will change, lighting technology.
An autopilot system. Mechanical drive systems will disappear.
Stackable cars.
Everything's becoming more advanced.
A train of cars.
Cars that articulate their frames and stand up and then interlock with the car behind it and charges via induction in the street.
Maybe people won't even own cars anymore in 80 years. Maybe there'll just be fleets of robot-controlled cars.
They've talked about cars that could actually drive themselves. That's called a chauffeur in my book, but
there's a hopefulness predicting things that sound outlandish to us now.
There's a lot of optimism in thinking about the future. It's a kind of exercise in dreaming.
We can do anything. We can do whatever we want to because you could send a dude to the moon, you know? Like, people can clone a goat. They can do a heart transplant. We can do whatever we want to do.
People that are known as innovators they've all had the vision to look beyond where they are today and see things that other people couldn't see and see new possibilities and new applications.
I'm counting on being surprised. So far, history's never let me down. I've been surprised just from the time that I was a child till now. I'm amazed at watching my own kids and how they're living compared to the way I grew up.